What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. Things are relatively quiet right now. The NFL Combine is happening, but haven't really heard anything from Indianapolis yet in terms of things that we as fans can digest and talk about. So, not really getting into that this morning. And other than that, we're getting little bits of information here and there. They're saying that tush push is not going to be outlawed this offseason, which is interesting and actually good news for the Seahawks. We're getting some clarity on the rule changes the Rams want. That's kind of interesting, but again, it only matters if it actually passes, and I don't know if it will. So we've got plenty of stuff to talk about later today. I'm going to move on to other positional groups in free agency, but before we get into all that, I want to take a video to talk about the circumstances and the situation of this current Seahawks team and how it should affect our offseason. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app and some new functionality they've recently rolled out, Team Picks. With Team Picks, you can pick winners in all kinds of sporting events. Right now, we have NBA basketball, college basketball, NHL hockey is going on, baseball's going to start in a little more than a month, and of course, you have futures in the NFL, even though the games in the NFL are over. Right now, if you look to my left here, you can actually see you can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They've got the Seahawks leading the way in those odds, by the way, at 12%. How does that make you feel as a Seahawks fan? But you can bet on MVP, you can bet on draft picks, you can bet on player destinations, all kinds of fun stuff, even though the season is over. So that is Team Picks over on Sleeper. A lot of fun stuff you can do. All right, so obviously now is the time where we as a fan base all come together and talk about what we want the team to do this offseason. And some people want to retain a lot of the outgoing free agents. Some people want to go out and get new players in open free agency. Some people want to mix. Some people want to play the compensatory game. There's a lot of different strategies that Seahawks fans advocate for, but I want to make one thing very clear right now, and I want to be very upfront about the appropriate way to react to a situation like this. So, the Seattle Seahawks, as of right now, are defending Super Bowl champions, right? We all know this. We all understand this. If you're a Seahawks fan, you know that. I don't need to tell you that, but I want to emphasize that this Seahawks team just went 14-3, got the number one seed, and then won the Super Bowl. So they're objectively in a window. And you look at the team, they've got a franchise quarterback in his prime, they've got one of the best young receivers in the league coming into his own, they've got an offensive line that should be very good in 2026 because of the continuity combined with the high level of ability of most of the players. You've got probably the best interior defensive line in football. You've got a really good setup at linebacker. You've got, even with the free agent losses that are likely coming, a pretty loaded secondary. You've got probably the best special teams unit in football. This is a team that is in most areas set up to go do big things. It is also a team that has quite a few older players that probably only have a little bit of time left in this league. I'm talking about guys like Cooper Kupp. This is probably the final year of Cooper Kupp. After 2026, I expect him to retire. If he doesn't retire, I don't think he'll be on the Seahawks in 2027. DeMarcus Lawrence. That's a guy who I also would expect to retire after this season. And even if he doesn't, I don't know if he's going to be back as a Seahawk in 2027 because of the way the contract is set up and his age. If we bring back a guy like Uchenna Nwosu, which I don't think that we will, but if we do, that's another guy who's probably on borrowed time. So you've got that setup right now, right? And you have obvious holes, right? Like, I think the team could do a little bit more at running back, obviously, especially if Walker leaves. They're going to be in a little bit of trouble at running back. Edge rusher needs to get better this offseason. They're going to have to replace some losses in the secondary. But overall, this is not just a team that is the reigning champions. This is a team that is set up to do damage right now. And let's go beyond that for a second here. The Seahawks only have 4 draft picks in this upcoming draft, and it's not considered to be a good draft by most people. It's considered to be a weaker draft. So, not only do you only have 4 picks, the players you're gonna get with those picks are probably going to be below the typical standard of what you would think you're going to get in a typical draft. And the Seahawks have a lot of cap space. According to OTC, they have the 6th most cap space in the league with 61 million, and there are many mechanisms by which they can clear significantly more if they want to. They can cut some players, they can restructure some players. You guys know the drill. I've been over it in videos already, so I don't need to go over it again. The point is, this team, everything is pointing towards being aggressive right now and getting the most out of this window because windows don't last forever in this league. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I think that it's important that people understand that it is very rare that an NFL team has the ability to just kind of lazily keep the window open for a long period of time like the Patriots did. And I know that's the model that every team dreams of being able to follow, and that's what every team really wants to do. They want to be like the Patriots. The Patriots, for the most part, did not really go all in for any one particular window during the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. During the Brady Belichick era, they just kind of lingered around, did their thing, knew they were going to be one of the better teams in the league, and sometimes they would break through and win it all. Sometimes they'd fall a little bit short, but they wouldn't despair over those times where they fell a little bit short. They'd rest assured they would be back the next year and would be able to win it. So, what I'm trying to get at here is if you don't have a Tom Brady and a Bill Belichick, you're probably not going to be able to do that because that was a unique circumstance of coach who was way, way better than any other coach of that time for the most part. Like there were moments, right? Like Doug Peterson dunked on Bill Belichick pretty hard in the Super Bowl 52, but over that nearly 20-year span, Bill Belichick was running circles around pretty much every other coach in the league. They had a quarterback who had an evolving skill set during that time that consistently stayed ahead of the curve and at the top of the league and was also willing to play for a lot less money than he probably could have gotten if he wanted to push it. And those circumstances allow that team to just kind of linger around for a long time and trust that they're going to break through at some point. They're not going to win it every year, but they're going to win it enough to make everybody happy. And that is obviously something that you want, but I don't think that's what this team has. And I only say that because getting what I just described is almost impossible. It it is so hard to put together a core like that can just keep winning every year no matter what without committing themselves. With the exception of that Brady Belichick run, if you try to do that, if you try to be one of the teams that just lingers around every year for like 20 years, you don't get the Patriots. You get the Steelers, a team that did kind of accomplish that, but what did it really get them after 2010? Nothing. So that's not how a good NFL organization operates. And I know the Steelers are considered to be a model organization by some, but I think it's impossible to look at the last 15, 16 years of that organization and say they played their cards right. That's a team that just kind of decided we're not going to go all in here. We're not going to worry about a year where things got wasted. We're not going to worry about the fact that, oh, we didn't win the Super Bowl this year. We're just going to kind of stay in our lane, stay in the pocket, and just wait for things to break our way. And every year they have a mediocre team. Sometimes they make the playoffs, sometimes they don't. When they got to the end of the Roethlisberger era, they couldn't even win playoff games anymore. And they're a team right now that is sitting on a 10-year streak of no playoff wins, I think. So that is what you get when you try to just linger for a long period. If you really want to strike it big in the NFL and you want to have the kind of success that any fan base wants, you pick your moments to strike and you pick your moments to hang back. You strike when you have the cap space, when you have a good core of your roster, and when you're not going to be leaning too heavily on young, inexperienced players for the upcoming season. That's the thing here. The Seahawks are not going to be able to address a lot of holes in their roster with the draft. So that means a very small percentage of what the Seahawks are expecting to get from their roster in 2026 is going to come from rookies. There have been years in recent years, like you go back to 2022, the Seahawks were expecting so much from their rookie class, and their rookie class delivered. But when you're depending on rookies for that much, that is not the year to really try to punch it. But this is a year where we know we're not going to get that much out of our rookies. And we know we have veterans that are ready to go get it now. And we have some veterans that are only going to be able to go get it now for probably another year. And I mean, we still have young players on the team, but for the most part, the young players are either starting to prove themselves or have already kind of proved themselves, like Gray Zabel, like Byron Murphy. We know how good these guys are. There's no waiting here for those guys to be good. Maybe the one exception would be Elijah Arroyo, but at this point, he's not even a huge part of this team. So you put it all together. This is a time to strike. And when it's time to strike, you spend your money, you go out and get some big ticket items, you take some chances, and you swing for the fences. And that is what this team needs to do this offseason, big picture. 2 years from now, I may not feel that way. 2 years from now, who knows what this roster is going to look like? We might be losing some players. Some players may have fallen off. Some players may have retired. We may have not been able to afford some players. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe I'm going to sit here and say, we need to take it easy this offseason. I'm not saying tank, but now is not the time to push our chips in. Now is the time to eat some dead cap space, save some cap space, let it roll over, sign some shorter term players. If you have success, then great. But I am not going to make this season some kind of last stand where I go all in trying to chase a Super Bowl. But right now, this is the time to go all in. And I look at this roster, which is objectively in a Super Bowl window. And we know that because they just won the Super Bowl. And I'm seeing big problems at running back. I'm seeing some big problems at edge rusher potentially. I'm seeing some depth issues in the secondary. I do not want to tread lightly trying to address those issues. And if you're a Seahawks fan, I don't think you want them to either. Now, obviously, when you swing big, you can miss big. But I think that swinging big right now is a necessity. I do not want to get to the end of the season here and find out that this team, which in many ways is Super Bowl caliber for 2026, is going to fall a little bit short because we can't get any pressure off the edge, which, by the way, was nearly the thing that did us in this last year, and it's probably going to be a bigger problem this year. I don't want to get to the end of the season and find out we can't run the ball effectively enough to replicate what we did this year, so we're not going to be able to repeat. If we fall a little bit short because we decided to be unambitious and play things slowly and carefully with this roster, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to be really, really annoyed that we blew an opportunity because these opportunities do not come every year unless you're the Brady Belichick Patriots. That's a team that, like I said, just kind of sits in the pocket and let things come to them, didn't overextend themselves, and knew they were going to be near the end every year, and some years they would break through. The Chiefs were able to do that for a little while, but even they had to dip down this most recent year. Right? The Eagles, their time is coming. The Eagles are not going to be able to be good forever with the way they've set up their team. The Eagles know there are moments to go for it, and then there are moments to sit back. And right now they're going for it, but in a couple years, They're probably going to be sitting back. So, big picture, whatever it is you want this team to do it with emphasis. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. More stuff coming soon.